I'd like to talk about the Kathy Griffin situation. This is my first opportunity I've had to make a video about it, so I thought I would just add my input to the discussion. It pains me to say it, but I fully support Kathy Griffin, her right to do whatever kind of bad, distasteful jokes, unfunny jokes. She has every right to do that. And while I thought that the picture she put out was kind of despicable for a number of reasons, first of all, she's a pretty wealthy, at least compared to the average income in the United States, woman who Donald Trump is viewed by a lot of his supporters are a type of like working class, want to protect their jobs from illegal immigrants. We're talking about a lot of rural working class folks, and here she is holding up the head of Donald Trump, who is there, who legitimately won a Democratic election, and it's in ISIS style, and it's just really crude, not really funny at all, and insulting. I could understand how to be insulting to a lot of people. And all that said, I fully support her right to exercise her freedom of speech. I do not recommend anyone trying to cancel her events. Let her do shows and let people who want to see her brand of comedy come and watch it, and by all means, picket her, make signs, tell her on social media just how despicable you think she is, all of that. But my request is try not to block her ability to speak or for her to earn her livelihood doing her entertainment thing. That's her right. It actually reminded me a lot of Milo Yiannopoulos. So Milo Yiannopoulos describes himself as a troll. Like, he's trying to offend people. And I like Milo Yiannopoulos. I think he's funny a lot of the time. Sometimes he's just too self-aggrandizement. He's just aggrandizing, just talking about how sometimes I sort of grow tired of it a little bit, and his dick jokes and black dick jokes. It gets a bit old, but he's trying to provoke and offend people, and a lot of people on the right support his right to do that. And yet, when it comes to Kathy Griffin, who does her own offensive post, and she apologizes for it and everything, and they're out for blood. That's just not right. It's equal for everybody. Milo Yiannopoulos gets to offend. Kathy Griffin gets to offend. They all get to offend lots and lots of people, and people, get to get offended and tell her or him what pieces of shit they think that they are. That's all healthy. But let's not try to stop her from performing at venues or death threats or threats of violence or whatever. Just come on. Like, that's just not cool. It's not cool. And it's free speech. And I think one thing that struck me was when Donald Trump won, how just traumatized the left was. They were just freaking traumatized. Like, no, people screaming and crying, and it was just, I wondered, where did that come from? And I think part of it is that the left had sort of like almost revenge fantasies against the right. Conservatives had been in charge for so long, and the left was this, countercultural force, and it was going to show those old white men, they were going to get their turn at the receiving end of oppression. And they were talking about how conservatives would never again be able to win an election, and due to the changing demographics. And I think they had this whole plan of just sticking it to the right. And a lot of their freedom of speech, blocking events and not letting people speak and shouting people down and noise machines, I think was like this preparation that they thought they were in charge and they thought they were going to be able to just shut down the right, This was it. The election of Hillary Clinton was going to be the last nail in the coffin of these fucking white men. And then Donald Trump won. And suddenly they were like, whoa, what? What? They just couldn't take it. They couldn't take that their revenge fantasies and their, had just just popped in a bubble. And they carried on a bit with it. They didn't back off their anti-freedom of speech message. They sort of just had a momentum. But now it's starting to come back the other way. And now the right, is able to turn it around, and the right is coming at them. I think it'll be a bit of a slow process, but you'll see just even a couple little instances of the right shutting down the left's freedom of speech, and the left is freaking out about it. It's almost funny. You can go online and search. You could find dozens and dozens of conservative or right-wing events that were harassed and closed down, and conservative speakers unable to speak due to noise machines and being shouted down, and men's rights activists not being allowed to have gatherings and being told how fucking horrible they were by feminists. And this thing had been going on for a long time, and you don't really see any instances of the right in the past few years that this has been getting worse and worse. You don't really see any instances of the right doing that. And just now you're starting to see it. Just now you're starting to see the right, coming down on the left's ability of freedom of speech. So how long will it take until the left realizes that the game that they've been playing, the worm has turned, and now the right is growing stronger in their position to be able to stick it to the left? How long will it take them to work that out? And will the right now replace the left as I haven't seen enough evidence to be able to try to say that that's going to happen, but it is starting. So when I was listening to Kathy Griffin doing her press conference, I was feeling sympathetic for her. I was like, yeah, that sucks. You put something online and now people are getting death threats, rape threats. You've lost your whole income. You say you won't be able to bounce back from it. Then she started going off about how old white men oppress her, and white men have been always keeping her down, and misogyny. I'm just like, what? How did that? You made a stupid post that got a lot of people angry. Take some responsibility, Who do I'm a white man, I'm starting to get a bit old. How do I have anything to do with your trouble? You couldn't say that about any other group. You couldn't be like, yeah, I did something wrong, but it's these black women. It's these black women that they always have problems with black women, and they're just, you couldn't say that. You just couldn't. You couldn't. But old white men, especially if they're Christian, cisgendered, what's going on? And she talked about how whenever she plays at clubs, it's always the old white men who are in charge of the venues. It's always these old white men who are paying her. And does that sound like oppression? You've got these old white men that have invested money in comedy clubs, and they're letting you perform there, and they're paying you. They're providing for your sustenance in the world. I'm sure you pay your rent off of money that you receive from old white men. You eat with money that you receive from old white men who open their comedy clubs to you so you could perform in them. How is that oppression? And I don't even get it. I don't even understand what she's on about. And then, she's got this sort of like paranoid Donald Trump is coming for me. I don't know if that's true or not. If it is true, I'll support her. I'll support her if if someone's trying to bring legal allegations against her, I'll even write her a check for $1, mail it to her for her legal defense. I would support her in that. I don't see any evidence that that's happening. I just see a lot of people really angry at her post, and threats and okay, that's bad, but let's not paint yourself as the victim here, unless you actually are the victim of Donald Trump. Okay, so you are the victim of a bunch of people who are death threatening and rape threatening you. Okay, so yeah, that's bad, but you're the one that was holding Donald Trump's head up, an effigy of Donald Trump's head. Let's not paint yourself as the victim of the big bad Donald Trump, let's get a little perspective here. But as much as it pains me to say, I support you, Kathy Griffin, and I hope that other people will try to leave her alone to practice her brand of comedy, however she sees fit. And I guess that's it for now. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.